Hey guys, it's Mountain Walk, and today we're going to be talking a little bit, uh, a bit about Modern Horizons. This thing's going to be released in just a couple days-ish soon. Already had the pre-release, so they got like all this stuff going on, and oh my gosh, I've been thinking about this thing all freaking, well, forever, I guess since they announced it in February. And so I'm just like, well, shoot, what what's going to be in it, what's going to be reprinted, what's going to be new. I mean, oh my gosh. So it's going to be a long one. I got of course some wild turkey, which is great. I mean, everyone likes wild turkey, the drink, of course. Um, it's great. I'm liking it. hmm It's pretty warm outside, but the whiskey is not warm. It's mildly room temperature, and the room is cool. Uh, I was going somewhere with that. I don't know. It sounded great. So we're gonna do a deep dive on friggin' Modern Horizons. Just all the stuff I'm trying to think of. There's so much more that I could really say about it, but hopefully I'm gonna try and keep this around an hour. Hopefully not too much longer. Hopefully not less than that. I don't know. I got so much. So let's let's get started. That's right. We're gonna be in for the long haul. So, okay. So first things first, let's start with the reprints. We got a lot of good ones. I mean, there's a lot of good reprints in here. Um, so we got a couple different kinds of reprints. We got ones that enable certain archetypes, obviously the cycle lands, enabling like loam-based strategies. Then we got like a lot of tribal cards, for example, like Goblin Matron, which enable their respective tribal strategies. Goblin Matron for goblins, of course. And then other things like Carrion Feeder, which is like part tribal card, part aristocrat sack outlet thing. All sorts of stuff you can do with that. And that's one that people really wanted for a long time. Man, this thing is sweet, and you do so much cool stuff with it. I love it. That's so cool. And it's got pretty cool new art too. Um, then we got lots of new answer cards, like Flusterstorm, of course, which is kind of a nice little side grade to like Spell Pierce and stuff like that. Pillage, of course, for like some of the Ponza decks, just as an answer. You can blow up utility land, so or blow up an artifact, and they can be regenerated. So screw you, Welding Jar. You go to heck. Although I love Welding Jar, don't go to heck, Welding Jar. You're sweet. So yeah, so you got Pillage, was good in Pawns decks, or you could be played as just like a piece of disruption kind of thing in other sort of red decks. And of course we got Diabolic Edict. A little late to the party now that we have the Liliana's version, but now you can give some given for like the Liliana's Triumph and then Diabolic Edict and stuff. Pretty cool, pretty cool. I like it. And the art's okay. It's not as good as the off the boat art, because everyone knows the best black kill spells are always throwing someone off a boat. Obviously, a sky boat, of course, sky boat. And then of course we got a lot of miscellaneous good cards that they reprinted, stuff like Squirrel Nest, Reckless Charge, Croson Tusker, Factor Fiction. Obviously Factor Fiction, pretty amazing reprint. Called that one, no big deal. Although that one's a little, well, I wouldn't say obvious, because a lot of obvious cards that I think a lot of people thought would be in weren't. But we'll get to that, which is exactly what we're going to be talking about right now. So, well, I guess you can see all the notable omissions that we have. Um, Goblin Bombardment, Counterspell, Pernicious Deed, Vindicate, Gerard's Verdict, Flame Tongue Kavu, Sagatog, Fire Ice, Living Death / Patriarch's Bidding, Containment Priest, Cabal Coffers, Memory Lapse, Repulse, Wishes? Question mark. Lightning Rift, Goblin Ringleader, Wirewood Symbiote, Cloud of Fairies. So these are cards that I think would actually improve, or just good, fun cards to play with. Something like, they print a ton of counterspells, like stuff like Prohibit or whatever, and some other ones. but like memory lapse would actually be really solid. Actually be like a really good counterspell to play. So if they're like, oh wow, like we don't want everyone to just play counterspell and not everyone have to choose all these bad cards to play. It's like this is just so stupid. Like obviously you're still going to play stuff like Spell Snare, Spell Pierce, like Flusterstorm. I mean, there's just this. It's not skill testing to have to play garbage cards, right? Like this is stupid. This is the dumbest argument ever. I mean, anyone who puts forward this argument, I suspect they have a below average IQ, talking double digits. If you know what I mean. God, just unbelievable. Stupid, stupid, stupid. In fact, I would say the thing that annoyed me the most is the fact that there is no counterspell. Everything else I think was mostly okay or really good or whatever, but no counterspell is a big oopsie in my opinion, because well, it's would have been great, would have been helpful. I don't think it would have pushed like the blue white decks or whatever or any of the control decks over the top because it's good, but I mean, like so many of the decks like just can ignore it. The Aether Vial, Cavernous Soul, stuff like that are just decks that aren't really vulnerable to counter magic. Um, Even the deck that this would have been really good against, something like Tron, is like they just, I mean, they have so much inevitability. They can just, spam like must counter cards and run you out. So it's kind of not as good as they would say. I think it would be a good card to have. I don't think it would have been broken. I mean, I guess there was some sort of argument to be made. The only thing I could come up with is they thought that A might have been too good with Fact or Fiction and Force of Negation being available. It slows the game down too much, where something like chaining Foss with Snapcaster would be like too um, too powerful, too overwhelming. But like I mean, I don't think that's very likely to happen. Even though I think obviously that the modern would be a lot more fun if everything was like super slow and mega grindy with all these sweet cards. But that's probably not the way it's looking. In fact, it only looks to be getting more linear and whatnot. But that's okay. I mean, it is what it is. It's modern's thing, I guess. And it'd basically be impossible at this point to turn back because just every new set that comes out just increases these linear sort of style decks, all these different synergy decks, and they're always going to be getting like a million times better. And there's just, unless they print like some really good like staple stuff like disruption, like fatal push, stuff like that, we're not really likely to see it slow down much or fairer decks get much better, it seems like, in my opinion. But that's that. It is what it is, right? We're not going to really be. I don't want to go too much into that. But the rest of the cards, I think, maybe with the exception of something like Repulse, which I'd love for it to be good. A little bit too slow, a little bit too slow. But man, what a sweet card. Uh, I mean, maybe they didn't include Deed because of the way it's templated. Not sure. Maybe same thing with Lightning Rift because they printed Astral Drift and not reprinted Astral Slide. So who knows? But other things have been great. Goblin Bombardment, of course, for the sack decks, or even something like Goblins would probably maybe play Goblin Bombardment too. But they got Sling Gain Lieutenant, so maybe not. They, obviously Deed, Vindicate, Verdict, just more good disruption. FDK, I mean, grindy decks would love that. Mid-rangey decks, maybe something like Jund or whatever. I'd love for FDK to be good. That card's sweet as hell. Psychotog, I mean, if you really want like fact or fiction to be good, just let people play Psychotog. Um, that would be oh man, that'd be so sweet. Psychotog and Counterspell and Foth, that'd be amazing. Because like fact or fiction really is amazing, and the Tog decks really made them super great. Because like it's just it doesn't matter, sometimes it's like you can split it like 5-0 or whatever, or 2 or 3 or 3-2 or whatever. Like it's just getting access to all those cards in hand and in graveyard, and then playing more fact fictions. Oh, that was great. I'd really love to play Tog again in modern. I'd probably just jam that all over the place. Again, Fire Ice, another good removal spell. Never dead. Pretty sweet. I can imagine it'd be pretty nice just icing Tron during their upkeep. Icing Tron lands, tapping stuff down to Alpha Strike. I mean, killing 2/1/1s, and oh my gosh, that'd be so sweet. Let's see. Living Death and Patriarch's Bidding. I think these cards would be really fun, really sweet. I don't know if they're too slow, but they're pretty sweet, pretty fun. Everyone would like those, and both of them need reprints. Well, Living Death was reprinted, I believe, in Masters 25. Patriarch's Bidding needs a reprint for sure, though. Really great and really super sweet in those well, linear decks, linear tribal decks, I should say. Containment Priest, real surprising that this card wasn't in there. I mean, it could be in a standard set. I don't quite know why it wasn't. Maybe because it was a human, maybe, but that's the only thing I can think of. But I think the card does so much good for the format as another way to just put a big stop to the ridiculous amount of graveyard shenanigans and all that other crap. Cabal Coffers, especially with like all this snow stuff going on, like a mono black snow deck would be really cool. Get into that a little bit later. Coffers would be sweet. Coffers would be so sweet. I mean, I don't know if it'd be good, but wow, would it be sweet. And so that would be fun. Already mentioned Memory Lapse Repulse. Wishes might be too good. I mean, obviously something like Living Wish could get Tron lands and stuff. Another way to, and then it also protects them from actually surgical, like Field of Ruin surgical extraction too, because they can wish for the missing Tron land. So maybe that just makes it too good. Something like I mean that basically would be a better not faithless looting, ancient stirrings in a way, be a better ancient stirrings because they can always have get access to that, or late game they can get access to a giant stupid fat Eldrazi thing. Man, wishes would be sweet to play with. Maybe they could redo this cycle, make it a little bit more balanced, make the white and black one not garbage or something. Who knows? Lightning Rift, they probably just print a new version of it instead of an old one. But everyone likes Lightning Rift. Ringleader, I think, would have been really, really good to make like the sort of classic sort of style of goblin decks, because even though they didn't get Gem Palm Incinerator, which is again another very important piece, they did get Munitions Expert, and that guy basically does a pretty good Gem Palm impersonation, although you have to play black, but you want to play another color anyways. There's basically no real downside, and your mana is perfectly fine. So yeah, definitely probably would have really liked to have Ringleader. Maybe there's other cards that could kind of replace it, although they maybe play a little bit different, but that's okay. Wirewood Symbiote, of course, been really great in the Elf deck since they literally got fucking nothing. Let me reiterate that all the Elf decks got fucking nothing. Outside of Changelings, which we're not really counting, there's 4 elves, and they're not elf-centric cards that you'd really want to put in an elf deck. Like the triple Llanowar elf thing, Llanowar Tribe, that guy's just a bad, oh shoot, whatever the lord is that pumps your dudes and taps for a green for every elf you control. Can't remember his name off the top of my head. Shoot, but that guy, it's just a worse version of that, which is a little depressing. I guess the triple Llanowar elf would be good in like a ramp deck of some sort. Kind of interesting, I guess, there, but yeah, it would have been nice to, give the elf deck something, right? Did we want to get the elf deck something, or just tell them to fuck off? Fuck off? Okay, so I guess that's what we're doing. Right. Moving on, and the last one I think would have been really sweet. Cloud of Fairies really would have been super sweet in the Fairies deck. Really makes your, like, on turn 2, like, you can be like, blam, Cloud of Fairies, and then have your mana for Spell Stutter up, so you can Spell Stutter their 2-drop pretty good. And I just love Cloud of Fairies. I love to play it everywhere. Card's awesome. I would be super happy to play it. Yeah, but looking through all of the, there's only a couple cards that I think they're actually kind of bad. Ooh, on the reprints. I gotta take a little drink here. That's good stuff, man. God, fucking Wild Turkey. More like, I was gonna say mild turkey, but it's just really good. I don't know. Also, slight uh 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 whatever you say when you're going to go off on a tangent. Well, I'm going to go off on a tangent. You know when you're walking in the morning, you're just hanging out, and then bam, turkeys like swoop down like all silently and stuff from their roosts in the morning, like around 7 o'clock. It always does that to me. Freaks me out because they're so big. Turkeys are so big. If I got hit by a turkey in the morning flying down from its roost, I'd be screwed. I'd be so dead. And then the turkeys would eat my body, and there would be nothing left. There would be nothing left. Anyways, that's really bad. Um, but looking at the cards that they reprinted, there was 40 reprints, not counting the 5 Snowlands, which are full art, which are fucking awesome. Uh, and then the extra box topper, which is Flusterstorm, which has really sweet art. So that's 46, I guess. But looking through them, I mean, there's only like even something like Choking Tethers, like in a blue cycling deck. I mean, that card's pretty good. Obviously, it's a decent thing for draft. Um, Dismantling Blow, it's a really good card. Obviously, it's just costs a bajillion mana, right? So like maybe in like if I could imagine like a blue-white control playing like one of these in the sideboard or something, because it's just like being able to just like kill something, draw 2 cards is pretty strong, even though the mana cost is all over the place. They did reprint Exclude, which I thought would have been sweet. This card would be really awesome to play in draft, I think. Uh, Man, that was sweet. Elvish Fury is a bad one. Like that one's just bad. 5 cycle lands. Firebolt, amazing. I called that one. I thought that would have been a sweet, good card. Definitely for like mid-range decks, not like the burn decks because they're typically just anymore. They're so efficiency minded, basically just um, lightning bolt tribal. Unlike the older red deck wind decks, which I liked a lot more, which are more about like repeated damage over and over again. Like Barbarian Ring and Firebolt and stuff like that. Um, Gilded Light, which is great. And again, another card. I think I called that one too, just because it's again great in the cycling decks, and it's you can main deck it, and it's great to obviously play against the storm decks, things like that. Kess, which is great, just to not have super benty, foily, crappy ones. Croson Tusker, awesome. This card's sweet. God, I love Croson Tusker. Mana War, Nantuko Cultivator, what could be interesting in like the loam decks. Nether Spirit, I love. Oh my gosh, Nimble Mongoose. Already mentioned Prohibit. I don't actually dislike Prohibit. I'm like, this actually is kind of an interesting card if it wasn't just so bad against the ramp decks like Amulet Titan and Tron, obviously too. Um, Not being able to like counter their really big spells like Karn or Primeval Titan or whatnot. Not good. Even Shelter, I think Shelter's sweet. It's kind of a niche card. I remember playing it back in the day during Odyssey block. Really powerful card. Man, it has sweet art. Something about the chick with like the it's just like was she just wearing like a G-string or something and then like a sweater? I don't know, man. Got that 90s style thing going on. It's pretty hot. Look, the chick on Shelter, totally hot. I'd have her be my girlfriend. That's right, I would. It'd be amazing. Um, Snow-covered lands. Spore Frog, obviously to go with Genesis, which I thought would be amazing. Oh my gosh. Way better than that Kami thing. It's amazing. Got the original art. It's got Spore Frog. Got Genesis. Boy. Didn't have the other ones, Wonder or Anger, but that's okay. Can't win them all. This was really sweet. Squirrel Nest, of course, like I mentioned, amazing. Unearth, so good. Like I love this card. It goes in tons of different decks. It cycles. I love it. Wing Shards, pretty cool. Wall of Blossoms, love it. I mean, I called a lot of these cards, even though I had an hour-long video full of tons of stuff. But worth mentioning. Worth mentioning that again. I think I remember saying something about this. There, 26 of the 40 cards were from Invasion Odyssey Onslaught block. Um, the reason for that, of course, is because this is the time when they really got a hold of like game designing and learned from a lot of their past mistakes for the most part. I mean, actually, if you look at the number of banned cards, say from this time period, the only thing I can think of that was banned was Entomb. and that's not currently banned in Legacy, although that's a pretty absurd card. Like obviously, 1 mana instant speed tutors are pretty good. So yeah, everything else. I mean, I guess fact or fiction's was restricted in Vintage because you could reduce the cost because how good it was obviously with stuff like Soul Ring and off-color moxes and stuff. It was pretty nuts. Um, yeah, it's pretty snowbally in Vintage. That was sweet though. Let's see what else. What else? Yeah, just like those two cards, I think are the only ones that really been ever messed with. But yeah, everything else they got a handle on the power. Creatures were a lot better, very playable, very good. Um, Even if you see something like Spirit Monger or Wild Mongrel, you're like, this card is bad. Well, it's like the color changing attribute used to be really relevant, um, but like the everything else about the card's pretty sweet. Um, let's see what else. Yeah, gosh, I mean, yeah, it's just crazy. It is crazy how man, those are just so many sweet blocks. Invasion, Odyssey, Onslaught, and then like, you know, other good cards like Nether Spirit. Oh my gosh, how sweet is Nether Spirit going to be in like the Pox, or I guess I should say Smallpox style decks since they don't have Pox, of course. God, it's so cool, and it's got sweet art. I mean, I don't know if I like the new art or the old art more. I mean, amazing. I love it. Some of the art in the set is great. Genesis has cool art. God, I mean, so many really awesome old fun cards. Like, they're really able to. I mean, even like the cards that aren't going to be like, oh, this may or may not be played or whatnot. Like, they really got a lot of really good nostalgia in there, which I think a lot of people were really wanting and missing. I mean, how many people have said, like, I can't even count, like, everyone that's like, oh, if they, reprint Astral Slide or whatever, they printed Astral Drift, uh, that they would play the deck even if it was garbage. I mean, I would too. This thing is going to be so freaking cool. Like, I love it. I'm going to be fucking blinking out my Wall of Blossoms and getting my E-Witness and getting my Life from a Loam or something, and y'all just going to be buried in card advantage and Wall of Blossoms. So many Wall of Blossoms. But yeah, I was basically right. And about pretty much everything, none of the cards I said that wouldn't are just not likely to be in because A, they're just too good or not really where the game is going. Stuff like Smokestack, stuff like Mother of Runes and Cabal Therapy because they're obviously a little too powerful, although Cabal Therapy was a pretty obvious one with Cabal Therapist being one of the first reveal cards. Um, but yeah, look at Mother of Runes. They remade it as a different card. Is not exactly, well, it's basically no one. If you have access to Mother of Runes, there's probably unlikely you're going to be playing the Giver of Runes because you can protect itself and it's way more frustrating and crappy to play, and it's a human, so which have been nuts in the humans deck. I mean, really obnoxious. Yeah, so all that kind of stuff. That's like, they didn't bring back careful study obviously or anything like breakthrough or deep analysis or any of the really absurd like graveyard stuff from Odyssey block or whatever. The Icrid style stuff because they were like very careful about printing that kind of stuff because A, it just breaks stuff wide open, and like these dredge decks can be really oppressive. Like they don't even have that now, and the dredge deck is already pretty ridiculous, pretty silly. So yeah, I think I pretty much was right about all that stuff. Yeah, it's I don't want to pat myself in the back too much, but a lot of this was kind of obvious if you thought about it for a little bit. I mean, they're not really going to be printing all the really or reprinting all the super broken stuff that messed up the game or whatnot. So yeah, it seems pretty unlikely any of those cards I talked about in that previous video, whatever be in. But the ones I listed here, I think would or should be in, or some form of them if they want to print a new version of it. Gosh, that'd be so cool. So cool, man. Yeah. So let's get to it. Let's get even more to it. Let's do it to it. All right. So got a couple of different things that were enabled. So we got the cycling deck, of course, the biggest one. This was one of the cards that was leaked. The Astral Drift, the super sweet Astral Slide, mostly better for the most part. Although I guess mirrors would be a little more ridiculous with Astral Slide, but yeah, so Astral Drift, and then as well as the cycling lands, which were super, super important. Um, like, because if you're going to be cycling a bunch every turn, you want to do it for the cheapest amount possible. And Astral Drift does that. I mean, this thing is so cool. Like, you can play just straight green white. Um, so you can play like Wall of Blossoms and Eternal Witness and Life from Loam and Cycling Lands, and you're off to the races. Yeah, of course was it the Amonkhet Cycling Lands, the green white one, the Sheltered Thicket or something? No, Sheltered Thicket might be a different card I'm thinking of. Anyways, the green white Cycling Land with the dual land types, the Forest and Plains. That thing is sweet. Man, what a sweet card. You can play those. You got all sorts of things you could do. You could play the Loxodon Hierarch, 4 mana 4/4 guy, gains your life. That's pretty sweet. That's a cool card. Gosh, I mean, you can splash red for, what would you play with red? Can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I bet it would be sweet. Black, of course, gives you disruption. So and the black, green, white give you like Thoughtseize and Inquisition and all that good stuff. Um, Blue, of course, will give you awesome stuff like counter magic. So that's pretty cool. And of course, all sorts of different blue cards. God, you can play Pact of Fiction. Oh, so amazing. I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do. Um, I'd love to just play straight green white, just like the old deck. But that's okay. You know, you probably want to play blue or black as your third or second color, or whatever it would be, to be able to have a little bit of disruption. It's pretty important. And also, like, was it? So the black cycling one that's like Astral Drift is, I think it's like you cycle and then you can pay colors and they lose a life and you gain a life. I think that's the black one. And then the blue one is Drake Haven, which I believe makes 2/2 blue flying drakes when you cycle for 1. Sounds about right. So that would be pretty sweet too. Um, Man, so much you can do with it, and it's so exciting. I mean, like I said, everyone's just brew with it, and it's gonna be sweet. And I think that's literally Eternal Witness being blinked there on the art of the card, which is pretty cool. Then we've got, of course, all the Loam decks, which are again super good with the cycling lands. And I wouldn't be surprised if this takes like a bajillion years until a good Loam deck is found. I remember, I think it was around 2007-ish, like when people really started experimenting with Loam decks in Legacy. I remember playing like like an old sort of control style, like the old Cal list from Extended, like the Confinement, Assault, like Assault or Confinement, Seismic Assault, and then Loam. That was Cal. Uh, like a version of that in Legacy. And that was wonky and it played all sorts of weird shit. And like then the decks, so they evolved from like control decks to more aggressive style of decks to like obviously like the lands decks that we see today were sort of an offshoot of that eventually. Um, yeah, it'll probably take a bajillion years, maybe, or maybe not. Obviously, a lot of the hard work has been done, and people can look at the past and see what things that people have tried and whatnot. And even in modern, I think there was aggro loam sort of style decks with Countryside Crusher and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, you got who knows? You black green, red black green. Um, sky's the limit. You can do whatever. Green red, obviously. There's a lot of green red stuff in this set that wants you to play like a bunch of lands in the graveyard, like the red green, the 2 mana 2/2 guy. When he dies, he deals damage to a target equal to the number of lands in your graveyard. I mean, that thing's sweet. So all sorts of interesting things. Also, all the old cycling cards, like the ones from when they brought cycling back, like in like Time Spiral block or Alara block, had like some land cycling stuff and those kind of things. You're gonna look at those again. You can look at those cards and be like, okay, Now we get to look at this in a new light, since like being able to cycle it is pretty sweet, and if you can draw, use it as like a creature or whatever, like the cycling spider thing, the green white cycling spider, like it land cycles. Oh my gosh. I mean, so many random old cards you gotta look at and be like, hey, maybe stuff like old cards with like landfall. You're gonna be looking at those and be like, hey, maybe I really want to play as Avenger of Zendikar, my loam deck or whatever, or who knows, right? Or maybe you're just like, I can finally jam for Tireless Tracker, or just, I mean, all sorts of different cards you're gonna be looking at in a new light, and you're gonna be like, wow, this is freaking sweet. I'm so excited. I'm pretty excited. I love brewing and making different deck lists and typing them into my typey notepad on my computer. Yeah, so I'm cool like that. So yeah, this is so cool. Like so many different decks you're enabled. So the cycling is pretty sweet. And so it enables two different decks: the Astral Slide deck and of course the Loam decks. And there's a lot of overlap because the Astral Slide decks typically will play the Loam, a couple copies of Loam just to start cycling. Get back your cycling lands. But let's look at even more stuff. We aren't even close to done yet. I amazing. Okay, tribal, bam, called that easy peasy. Uh, maybe it's a little easier for me because like what other kind of thing are they going to have in like a higher powered draft environment for like red that's not like some sort of goblin tribal thing? Because like they don't have anything else. What are you gonna do? Like we're gonna play burn spell tribal? Like come on, they just don't really have anything else to really do for these higher powered environments. But hey, whatever, that's okay. No biggie. Anyways, don't mean to digress. Look at that $10 word. So we got all sorts of tribal stuff. Lots and lots and lots. First off, slivers. Holy crap. Did I call this one? I wish I called this one. I hope I called this one. And like I said, no crystalline or hexproof. I'm pretty sure I said that just because it would be probably a little too good. Um, yeah, that would have been sweet though. Oh man, just let me play slivers, and then Demonic Consultation, and then Force of Will, and then all dual lands. And I just want to replay the old sliver deck, the counter sliver uh from the late '90s. They could play Demonic Consultation in that deck, and Force of Will. Totally nuts, totally unreal. Anyways, so the slivers, oh my god, first sliver, so cool. I love this card's gonna be so sweet to play. Like one of the biggest problems with playing sliver decks is if you've ever played them, very very quickly people figure out that you have to wipe the board like every fucking turn. Otherwise, they're just gonna get to the point where like they'll have like two random slivers in play after you wipe them, and then the next turn they'll kill you. Like it is the craziest thing ever. I don't understand how it even works. The deck snowballs so hard, and just has the most silliest like ridiculous cards. Like I mean, it was just your lords pump everything, you can't target them, and then they can't be blocked, and then they also have haste, and then now they have unearth, and like holy moly, like it is pretty absurd. So nice thing about the first sliver is it solves that because you cast it and it cascades, and then every other sliver after you cast that will cascade too. That's insane. So like all those big slivers like the was it Fury Sliver? Is that the double strike one that's like 6 mana? So like playing these really big expensive slivers is awesome because they can start cascading, and you'll hit a slivers all the way down the thing. So like having like the 1 mana flanking sliver will be good to hit off your 2 mana lords, or the first strike sliver, or just I mean, oh my gosh, Gale Rider, of course. You'd probably be playing that anyways. But yeah, I mean, just being able to, you want to be able to fill out your curve with dude. So like you play a big expensive one, and then just blah 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 blah, go nuts. I mean, that's so sweet. That is so sweet. That is so exciting. I love it. I mean, yeah, these sliver decks basically they kill everyone or they get ganged, gang gang, gang ganged over and over, and then they lose. But yeah, I mean, this'll be so sweet. This is so much fun. Just so good. So good. So that's sweet. So there's the Cloud Thresher, Cloud Shredder sliver. The red, white, 1/1 slivers you control have flying and haste. That thing is absurd. Like I don't think there's been a sliver that gives them two different abilities. There was that red one, the Sedge sliver, which gives them regenerate and +1/+1, but that's I think the only other one I can think of. So this thing is nuts. Like this is two. It's a 2 mana flyer that gives everything else flying and haste, and yeah, that thing is sweet. Oh boy, is that sweet. Then there's like the Spite Sliver, which wants you to play Blasphemous Act, so it's kind of like the Stuffy Doll thing. Um, I mean, all sorts of just sweet, sweet stuff. Like, what other good slivers are there? I mean, and they have the old sliver design. Amazing, freaking amazing. Obviously, I mentioned the unearthed sliver, so it has like unearth, and then all your slivers have unearth, so you can unearth it, and then all your other guys have unearth, so it's like its own like patriarch's bidding or whatever, which is pretty sweet. And then you'll just oh my gosh, just so cool. Like so many sweet slivers. They went back to the old sliver art because no one liked that really. I mean, bad art on the slivers. Like almost all these the older ones from like M14 or whatever it was, were just horrible, horrible. Mm. Not good, my friends. Not good. But yeah, Sliver's amazing. First Sliver, amazing. I like all the different abilities they put on the Exalted Sliver. I think that's cool because obviously Exalted stacks, so you could be like blam, hit them with one big old nasty sliver and leave your dudes up for blocking or something. So cool. Um, Goblins, of course. Everyone loves goblins. Um, and they got really, really good stuff. Obviously, Goblin Matron, of course, really important. Gives you a lot of ability to tutor, which is great. They don't really give that to pretty much anyone for cheap these days, even when it's really limited. So being able to have Goblin Matron, no ringleader, but you got other good 4 mana things like the Sling Game Lieutenant, that guy's sweet. The aforementioned Munitions Expert, the guy with, yeah, it's Flash. You can make him uncounterable most of the time with like Ether Vial or of course Cavern of Souls, so that is so cool. I mean his art's ridiculous. I think there's like flying sharks and some other shit in there. Like, is there a cucumber in this one too? Like I think was it Volley Veteran? That guy didn't he have a cucumber in his? I don't know. Anyways, yeah, so you got all those guys. Even the zombie goblin, the 2 mana 2/2 with persist. I think it was persist. That's pretty sweet, and that'd be good in like the zombie decks or the goblin decks. Being able to come back is pretty big game. That's actually pretty nice for a 2 drop. Being able to trade and then chump and trade again or whatever. So good. Yeah. So there's all those ones from Lorwyn, like the Wart anti chick. She can kind of because she can rebuy a card every turn in your graveyard. So that's pretty good. Does a little bit of a different goblin ringleader thing. So it's a card advantage goblin or whatever, and it lets you regrowth the goblin, which is pretty sweet. So yeah, maybe some of those older ones like Warren Weirding. Again, Warren Weirding is removal you can fetch with Matron. Pretty good, pretty good. That's sweet. That's strong. So yeah, definitely imagine they'll be playing that. And I guess the one nice thing about Ringleader, you don't have to worry about your numbers of goblins, non-goblins, whatever. So you can play a bunch. You can play removal. You can play bolts and terminates and fatal pushes and Thoughtseize, a big one. Play Thougtseize. That'll be really good about against the combo decks and stuff. I mean, and you've got a pretty good clock with War Chief and Chieftain or whatnot, being able to poop out a whole bunch of damage with haste. Pretty nice. I don't know how many War Chief or Chieftains you really want to play, because like without probably you do. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure, but there's all sorts of sweet things you can do. All sorts of sweet things. You could probably even play Goblin Grenade if you wanted. That would be sweet. There's the 1 mana 0/1 haste exalted goblin. That guy's kind of cool. That might be fun to draft. Just a bunch of those guys, just spam them. Um, let's see. Then we got oh yeah, zombies. Zombies got a ton of good stuff. Like almost all their stuff. Um, there's the endling is even pretty good. Like because it's a zombie shapeshifter and it has you can get undying and all those other abilities and stuff. That guy's actually not too bad. I don't know if the zombie deck would really play it, but it's an option, and the card itself is pretty solid too. Obviously, Carrion Feeder. Did I mention Carrion Feeder? I've mentioned it probably 100 times. The card is so sweet, so good in the zombie decks. You can, sack your Geralf's Messenger and drain them for more, and oh my gosh, and then sack your grave crawlers and stuff, and replay your grave crawlers, and that's that's awesome, man. That's so good. Um, yeah, zombies did really, really good. They got a lot of really interesting cards. Like pretty much every single one of their cards they got, I think, was interesting. Um, and I think there was like 6, 7, not counting changelings, of course. Although some of the changelings are good. I probably should have mentioned that, but I mean, they mostly augment existing decks. Let's see. Oh yes, ninjas. Ninjas got some sweet cards. There's the vampire ninja guy. The only uh, vampire in the set, or excuse me, there's only two vampires. Obviously, the one to the right, and then of course the ninja vampire that unblocked ninjas you control have lifelink. So yeah, then there's like the the zombie ninja. Like you get to play the top two cards of their library when it deals them damage. I mean, then there's so many cool ninjas. It's pretty interesting. There's a lot of different ones too. Um, Man, that actually be pretty fun. God, that must be a miserable thing to play against in draft. Whew. Oh. But I love it anyways. I love it anyway. So the ninjas were pretty cool. Lots of cool ninjas. People were asking for that, so that's sweet. Everyone loves ninjas. And yeah, that's basically kind of it. I mean, there was 4 elf cards, like I mentioned, and none of them are good in the elf deck. I mean, maybe was it Denizen of the Deepwood, the remade deranged hermit. Maybe, but that's probably not. I mean, I don't know. I'd be happy if it was, but that's probably not happening. So it was interesting that like they didn't add anything to the elf decks. It's not like these were oppressive or anything. Like they banned glimpse and stuff like that, skull clamp or whatever, that kind of crap that would make it silly. So elves got nothing. Not even Wirewood Symbiote is a reprint, which would have been sweet, or anything really. I mean, shoot, even something like Priest of Titania might have been interesting, but nope, nothing like that. And then Merfolk got 0 cards. Yeah, I think I had to do a couple searches just to make sure, but they got 0 cards. I think, no, I think it's a little interesting that blue, the super smart, clever color, has the tribe that's full of the biggest dummies. Like all Merfolk does is just spam lords and beat down, which is just not good enough. I don't think it's just super boring, really. I mean, good lord, just fucking end me. Like that Merfolk deck is just just kill me. I mean, so it would have been nice if they printed a Merfolk that would be interesting in the Merfolk deck instead of just another fucking Lord. Like, really, do we need another Lord? Another boring Merfolk Lord that does nothing but pumps dudes or whatever? I mean, just can we get some non-combat thing? I mean, these are blue creatures, right? They're smart, right? Oh, even spiders got the Rot Widow pack. That thing is sweet. Like that's a cool card. That's good for Spider Tribal, baby. I'm playing at my Spider deck. If I was playing Ishkana, I'd put it in there. Kind of want to just put it in any deck that could play Black Ring. It's a sweet card, dude. Freaking spiders, dude. They got like 10 eyes or something. I don't know. Weird flavor text, but whatever. Okay, Snow. Holy moly. Freaking Snow. This is awesome. Man, they push Snow pretty hard. Like, there's just a smattering of cards in different colors, like On Thin Ice, which is the white removal. Of course, Dead of Winter? The the one-sided Wrath. so it kills all snow things, or non-snow things, excuse me. And then of course, what was the, well, there's this guy, the Ice Fang Coatl. I mean, and there was the 3 mana spell that like reveals top 6 cards and put all snow permanents into your hand, or snow cards or whatever. That thing's pretty sweet. I mean, there's a ton of thing like Arkham's Astrolabe, the 1 mana artifact that comes into play, costs a snow mana to play. So now snow mana can be a cost to play the card, which is sweet. So 1 snow mana to play, comes into play, draw a card, colorless and tap, and then add a mana of any color to your mana pool. So it filters, which is great for these 3 color, snow decks. So like Bug or Rug or whatever. Rug obviously you get stuff like Scred, so sweet. Bug, of course. We get Dead of Winter, it's awesome. And of course the Coatl is a big draw. I mean, this thing be pretty easy to set up the Death Touch, like on turn 3. Flash Flying Card Pop Death Touch. I mean, that's awesome. Look at that thing. That's so cool. Red Black, of course, gets you good removal and stuff. Maybe a mono black version, of course, with the Dead of Winter, and like you can play Extraplanar Lens. So getting some of that commander tech, shuffling that up into modern, because the Extraplanar Lens will only double your mana, because you're probably the only one with a lot of snow-covered swamps. Pretty cool. And mono black, they can use the snow land, the Snow Mishra's Factory thing that turns into a 2/3, and when it damages a creature, it doesn't untap next turn. Like, this is silly. Of course, something Cold Steel Heart would be pretty cool too, because it can fix, and is of course another snow permanent, which is pretty sweet for getting more snow permanents, obviously to fuel all your other cards. And then snakes. I was thinking snakes, baby. Think about it. Blue-green snakes. You got Ice Fang Coatl, Orin Viper. These things draw cards and kill things. Oh man, that's so sweet. I mean, that's sweet as hell. I love snakes. So yeah, there's tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of different decks. Even the mono red Scred deck, of course, they can play the was it Frostwalk Bastion? The that was the snow one, I think. The snow manlands, Frostwalk Bastion, something like that. They even get stuff. It almost feels like hopefully they're they're sort of seeding cards into modern, and they're gonna like go full bore with like Kaldheim or whatever in the fall. That would be so sick. Oh my gosh, Viking plain with snow and amazing, and Garuk, that'd be amazing. And then just Immigrant Song like blasting. Oh, that'd be amazing. That's good stuff. Hmm. Oh man. And then of course there are cards like On Thin Ice. Specifically, it can be played in non-snow based decks, but blue-white plays a bunch of lands, or excuse me, a bunch of basic lands, and those could easily be um, snow basics. So that would I wouldn't imagine they'd have too big of a time supporting that, especially since of course you got Flooded Strand and Prismatic Vista, which is awesome. So not only does it support all of this snow stuff, it's also great in stuff like say Miracles, which really likes its basics lands. Basics lands. I'm turning into Squiscar. Jesus. It's the basics loans. Wow, I can't even say that right. I don't even sound like Squiscar now. Now I just sound retarded. Okay. But anyways, yeah, lots and lots of stuff. This stuff is so cool. I fucking love it. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to playing with all the snow stuff. Just all of it. All of it. I don't even care. I'm just gonna love it. Just love it to death. Okay. Oh wait, I almost forgot to mention. Was it called Merit Lage's Slumber? The 2 mana enchantment, legendary snow enchantment. Then once you have like 10 snow permanents in play, you get a Merit Lage, and then you also can. Oh, what's it do? What's it do? Get a Merit Lage, and then also it scries. I think when you play a snow permanent or something, scry one. God, that thing's sweet. Fucking awesome. So much cool stuff. Anyways. Let's go. Next. All right, baby, we got we got all sorts of cool stuff. So a couple of these things, like I said, the vampires only got like 2 cards in the set, but one of them's really good in the vampire deck, or just sacrificing stuff, things like sacrificing what's the dude? Oh shoot, the guy that the vampire that comes back when you play a land. Oh, wow, I can't remember his name. That's terrible. This is a really good card too. Oof. So yeah, obviously the vampire, that'd be good with that because you can put counters on all your stuff and all that's cool. Um, but yeah, just the one vampire guy. But the other two big ones, obviously Goblin's got Sling Gain Lieutenant. This guy is sweet. Obviously, you see a picture of him on the right. What a sweet guy. So cool. Gets Goblin tokens. It's a take on Siege Game Commander. Obviously, this guy's only a Lieutenant. 4 mana 1/1 instead of like a 5 mana 2/2, right? Isn't that cool? Uh, Look at that flavor text. Freshly promoted to First Rock, Zaz was eager to make an impact. Oh my god, that's amazing. I love this card so much. The why this card is so interesting. This card is so powerful in aggressive matchups. How hard would it be to race this fucking thing? Because it gives you life gain. That's not something you've ever really had in a Goblin deck. Because obviously red doesn't get life gain stuff, um, but black does. It gets the drain. So yeah, this is pretty strong. And just like spamming like all your random dudes that you have in play uh, will do a lot of good. You can just sack them all, and a little bit better than Siege Gang in some ways. Obviously, um, it's you can whether you're tapped out or not, you can sack your dudes because there's no mana cost. Obviously, Siege Gang is a little better top deck, like late game, a little bit better to cheat into play. I guess if you were putting it off an Ether Vial or a Lackey, although obviously the latter isn't in Modern. Um, Obviously, a little bit better with obviously Commander Siege Gang is a little bit better of enabling turn 3 kills with Pile Driver, but obviously you need Lackey for that. But anyways, yeah. So this guy's sweet. 4 mana, nicely slots into like the slot where you would have something like Ringleader. I'm never gonna stop mentioning that they should have added a Ringleader, but they had a lot of really cool stuff like this guy, and oh my gosh, maybe I'll wait till the Legends part to talk about the other dude. That was yeah. Okay, and then zombies. Again, zombies got a ton of stuff like Undead Augur. That's the 2 mana 2/2 guy, 2 black 2/2. When another zombie dies, you draw a card and lose life. I believe that's what that one does. I'm sorry, all these cards are running through my head, and I probably should have had the thing brought up, but that guy is sweet. I mean, that's cool because like you can draw cards and well, you draw a bunch of cards. I mean, it really went full bore on the zombie stuff. Really gave them a bunch of good tools, which I think is sweet. No Shepherd of Rod or the Gem Poem Polluter or anything like that, which is a little unfortunate. Those cards are sweet, but you can play Unearth. How cool is that? Or I guess, yeah, shit, you could play Unearth in the Goblin deck too, because you're going to be playing red and black. Oh man, think about unearthing your Goblin Matrons, or unearthing your munition experts. Uh, I can't wait to do that in the limited. I'll probably just force red black goblins. That'll be amazing, and everyone will just pass me all the goblins. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Yeah, so they really amped up the sacrifice stuff, which is really cool. I like it. Again, no bombardment, no goblin bombardment. So Sam Black, I'm sure, was a little disappointed. But yeah, there's all sorts of cool stuff. I mean, just amazing, amazing. Oh, I'm so happy it's amazing. Okay, let's go. All right, so we got cycles. Boy, we got some cycles. We got some cycle cards that aren't even the cycle cards, which I really wanted to just fill this screen with just the cycle cards, even though I said that I wasn't going to. That's the title for this slide. That's okay. I love it. So okay. Um, cycling, cycle cards. So obviously cycling lands, which is a cycle. Those are in. Those amazing. Those I think those will probably be in about damn near anything that can play them, that can really afford to play like um, a couple extra, just Well, lands that cycle. Obviously, they're going to be in the loam decks and the astral drift decks, but there could be a couple of control decks maybe that are like, I can probably get away with playing a cycle land in this situation, one or two, like Lonely Sandbar or something. Like, well, this, just another way to min max, and then of course you can cycle it late game, which is where something like a plains or an island or whatever other dual land would not be as good. But okay, let's not talk about those. We all know how good those are. We already spent enough time on them. Enemy talismans. So the original talisman cycle from Mirrodin, original Mirrodin. Now we got the complete enemy colored ones, which is sweet. They look great. I mean, these are going to be awesome. I'm so excited because I'm so OCD about this kind of cycle stuff. Like, I didn't really want to play the talismans because, like, in my 3-color decks, I'm like, well, I can't play. There's no enemy colored ones, so I don't really want to do that. But now I can. I can play all the talismans and all the signets, and I am just so excited and happy. Like, the world is my oyster. Everything is great. The Force Cycle, one of the biggest cards in the set, which I haven't really talked about. Force Subjugation, this card is amazing. I mean, it does everything you want. That you'd want something like Force of Will to do in the format, but doesn't really protect your combo. And it doesn't cost life, which is great. Just a blue card, and you can only do it, obviously during your opponent's turn. And it exiles it, so it's a negate that exiles it. So I mean, yeah, you can't lose. You can't lose. That card is so good for the format. I'm sure a lot of people will be really excited to hit the faithless lootings all the time. Good stuff. Even against hitting something like Aether Vial is pretty sweet too. If that would be appropriate, because obviously that turns off the rest of your counter magic. Although, yeah, still not the best situation to be in, because you have like these negates versus a creature deck. But if you can hit the one vial on turn one, that you'll probably be feeling pretty good there. So yeah, that cycle is really great. The green one, obviously, almost as good, even better in some respects. It's an out to like the Chalice and Moon decks, or any of those kind of things in Legacy. So like if you think about like people jamming, like see if you're Black Green Depths and you're like, they're jamming Blood Moon and Chalice on you. You can play your Dark Depths. Then you can Force of Vigor, which is I believe the name of the green one. Then pitch green card, kill their Chalice and their Moon, and immediately sack your Depths, because if you played it when the Moon's out, it doesn't have any counters. And then bam, instant 2020. So it makes the Blood Moon even more of a liability, because they could do it instant speed with no mana up before they even have mana to cast like a Nature's Claim or something. Totally nutty, totally nutty. That's so good. Again, great in the elf decks against stuff like Bridge, obviously stuff like again Chalice, of course, and it's up to 2. So if there's only one out, you can just hit that, which is awesome. Then there's the black one. Again, situationally good. This one, on the other hand, is good against stuff like elves that wants to spam a bunch of creatures on one turn. So that would be pretty sweet there. As that could even be card advantage. Depending on how many guys they play. So that's pretty sweet. So that one's situationally good. Not quite as good as the blue or green one. Situationally good. Definitely really powerful. Extremely unique effect. So that one will always be worth keeping in mind. And the white one. Everyone's crapping on the white one, but the white one is great. I mean, it's obviously less good than the other ones, but it's a very powerful effect. So it has flash. It's an enchantment, and it gives all your dudes +1/+1. Seems a little meh, but this card can function as a combat trick, as well as also pumping up your guys. So it has 2 different uses. So that's pretty powerful. Not something that was available to these sort of token decks. The closest thing was there was one in was it Theros? There was a like 5 mana white flash one, Glorious Anthem. Something about Heliod or whatever. I don't know. But that one's 5 mana. This one is free. Obviously just have to pitch a white card. That's pretty big game. Like that can it'd be pretty good in like token style decks to tricks people. Or you just want to like spam more tokens, then you pitch a card in your hand and then alpha, or whatever. I mean, you can do so much stuff. It's really good. Um, I think it'll see some play. I think pretty sweet. That one's pretty good. And the red one, which sucks, in fucking fiery donkey balls. Like this card is so fucking bad. It pisses me off. What a piece of shit. I am not happy that they printed the red one. All the other ones were good, or could see play, or will see play. The red one's just garbage. Like, why would they print, like, do they always have to make the red one bad? And like when it was revealed that, oh, these force cards are going to be a cycle, I was like, wow, that's so cool. Like, red got a good one last time because pyrokinesis is pretty nuts. Like, that card is fucking one-sided instant like wog or something that just split up. I mean, arc lightning on crack for free. So stuff like goblins or whatever liked playing that. That was sweet. Pyrokinesis was awesome, and the white one was the worst. Scars of the Veteran. I can't even remember what that does. That is his bad stuff. And Bounty of the Hunt was sweet because that was great and stompy. The green one now, Force of Vigor, is good. Black one was good last time and was good this time, and obviously the blue ones are both good. Uh, but yeah, wow, this Force of Rage, even the name is just kind of boring. Force of Rage, really? I mean, I think it's a little redundant. It's kind of bad, right? God, just fucking end it, dude. Like, why did we have to have the red cards be bad? It's because they're so. Like, red just doesn't have. I think I mentioned this before in some old ass video, but red just doesn't have the depth of mechanics that it really needs. So they just have like this garbage shit. Like, this is just so bad. Like, the other ones are potentially sort of like reactive kind of utility stuff, and this thing is just like a better Ball Lightning. Is this worse than Ball Lightning, which doesn't even say see play? Not even talking about something like, look, I love Lightning Skelemental. That thing is sweet, but that's not a cycle. But that thing, man, think about hitting that thing off a Blood Braid. Fucking, oh boy, I'd probably just play Jun just because of that. It's not even that good, but the deck isn't that good. But that would be a sweet play. Like, oh man. And how cool is Lightning Skelemental as a name? That should have just been the fucking thing. They should have just gave that, like, the pitch thing. That'd been way better. Well, anyways. Fucking, God, the red card's so garbage. God, so fucking bad. Just fucking, I'd rather, like, I would go up to Wizard, like, you can punch me in the dick. Just don't make the red card bad. Ugh. Could have at least just made it goblin themed. Do something with goblins. Put a bunch of goblins into play. That would have been good. Whatever. Okay, Horizon Lands. Not much to say here. These are amazing. All enemy colored. So it's like the Horizon Canopy, but it's now just enemy colored ones. Obviously, you can see one here, Nurturing Peatland. Sweet name, great art. Noah Bradley, real awesome guy. Love his art. Really great stuff. I mean, got great flavor text. I mean, these cards will be played all over the place. So, cool, right? I mean, not much to say. They're going to be probably ubiquitous. And, makes deck building interesting, makes building your mana base interesting. While these cards are super strong, you can't obviously. Anything that's not like Burn or whatever, which can probably play like 6 of the damn things. 6 of the red ones. But yeah, those cards are sweet. 2 more allied swords, or should I say they printed 2 allied swords of the new allied sword cycle. So Sword of Truth and Justice and Steel and Sinew. So one of them like puts a count. The Truth and Justice one, the blue-white one, pro blue and pro white, like puts a counter on something and puts a 1/1 counter and then proliferates. So that's those 2 abilities when it hits something, and then the Steel and Sinew or something like that, or Blood and Sinew, or I don't know, the red-black one. That one I think destroys an artifact and a planeswalker or something like that. But I mean, basically these cards are really like, these are just commander cards for the most part, but they're really cool. Having the protections themselves are pretty powerful. Red and black, pro white and blue. I mean, that's pretty big. Like, think about in Legacy having protection from True Name Nemesis and Swords of Plowshares. A-okay with me, my friend. Putting that on like the double striking guy, the 3 mana 3/2 double striking guy, the Mirran Crusader. I mean, you get pro everything. That would be pretty sweet. Well, everything but red, but yeah, that'd be sweet. man, then put the counter, and then he proliferate and then deal more damage. Oh my gosh, that'd just be big damage, big boy damage. So yeah, the Allied Sword cycle, pretty sweet, pretty cool. Um, and then the Morphling cycle, which I talked a little bit about, they finished that with Endling. Endling is sweet, and it's actually pretty solid. It's a zombie shapeshifter, so like I said, it could be played in the zombie decks. Pretty cool. I like it a lot. It's got pretty cool art. Got flowers, and then rotten flowers, and then a shapeshifter, and then a after image of a dead one, because it has undying, so it came back as a zombie. Or it is a zombie already. Anyways, whatever. Pretty cool though. Not my favorite card, but just something nice to see. Alright, so there's a couple more things I wish they would have printed. Basically, just a couple more tribal cards. Just give something to elves, something to merfolk. I think would have been nice. Just one card to do a thing, anything. Merfolk, you had a lot more leeway of doing stuff because blue can apparently do anything, so I guess it doesn't fucking matter. Maybe like a merfolk with flash that comes to play and it copies a spell. That would be fucking sweet. Oh, copying your opponent's factor fiction, and then you FOF, and then you get a force negation. You force their factor fiction. I mean, just you can do anything, anything. Um, yeah, I think I would have liked to see Goblin Ringleader, but maybe they just thought it was too powerful. Seems a little silly to me. Maybe if the format gets a lot grindier and Blue Eye Control comes a little better, I mean, yeah, Goblins would have shit on something like that, but um, typically it's not doesn't seem super grindy against a lot of these decks because you're just like if you're not operating on an axis they are, then they'll just basically goldfish you and card advantage isn't really good there. Um, but yeah, otherwise I think that they did a really good job like supporting all the different kinds of tribes and stuff and like well I mean obviously they had Morphon which supports all tribes. So checkmate me. God, I'm such a dummy. Two split second cards. Really wish they would have done these. Big, big, big reason because these cards are amazing. I love them a lot. Even though they are like, they're kind of interesting because they're not really, you can't interact with them, but they're good at forcing interaction. So like playing Frozen Grip against a deck that like really needs its one, like a lock piece or something like its ensnaring bridge or whatnot, forces decks to interact a lot more. So I think having some new split second cards would have been really sweet, and they could have obviously been pretty strong. So no split second cards I think is a big miss. They could have added really really strong cool things to the format, which I would have loved, but that's okay. Third thing, this is maybe just kind of a personal preference or whatever. I wish there was a big snow thing, a big snow thingy payoff or whatever. Like a finisher. I mean, I guess there's the Merit Lage's Slumber, which kind of counts, right? Um, Something like a finisher, I think, like another big snow dragon. I just want another fucking rhyme scale dragon. Like that's all I want. I would be amazing. I would love it to death. Give me a new rhyme scale dragon. Just reprint rhyme scale dragon with different art or something. Even though the original art is sweet. Did I ever tell you guys about how much I love rhyme scale dragon? Okay. Anyways, um, I thought that'd be kind of nice to have another just one or two more like cards to really finish off the snow stuff. But if they do print more snow things in, um, like in Call Time, if that's the fall set, which would undoubtedly have snow stuff, like that would be awesome. And we wouldn't, obviously wouldn't need that here. So not a big, just a minor quibble. And a couple more build around cards, kind of like this Aria of Flame, which I mean, I guess is kind of like a Storm card. I'm not really sure how good this is in Storm. It seems maybe worse than something like Pyromancer's Ascension, maybe, but well, what do I know? I'm not a genius. I think a couple more build around cards would have been sweet. I like that they added stuff like, was it Scrapyard Recombiner, the one do with modular. Um, I wish there was a little bit more modular stuff. Some of these older mechanics, more flashback, more threshold too. I think that'd be really cool. I really love modular. Modular is so much fun. I just love sacking stuff and putting more counters on my Ravager and all sorts of other things. Scrapyard Recombiner, that's the dude. That's modular too. Then sack a artifact and you get a search your library for a construct. So you get your walking ballistas and all sorts of sweet shit. Fuck yeah, give me that every day of the week. That's awesome. That would have been cool. if they printed more stuff like that. But there's already a lot of really good stuff, and they have so many different things they gotta work with. So yeah, but a pretty good job otherwise. And what a good job they did do. They did do a good job. Freaking, you got sweet legends, so many good legends, like Urza and Yawgmoth, and holy crap, those cards are so cool. Like, I'm like, it's one of the few cards I looked at. I'm like, I really want to play this in Commander, and wow, I think this is actually be really good in Modern too. That's something like maybe like Modern Humans, like in the mirror, like Yawgmoth seems kind of silly. Like um, you don't really have like a ton of black mana, unfortunately, but to pay like the ability, but you can um, definitely kill stuff a lot, which would be pretty sweet. And then Urza, of course, just then like goes infinite with Doctor Sword. Just would be a sweet commander. He makes a Karn struct, which is cool. Nice callback to the Karn, or maybe the Karn's kind of a callback to him, but shows that obviously they're related in a way. Which is sweet. The power level is amazing. I think it's really good. I don't think anyone would have been happy if it was too strong. You don't really want to upend the table. You're adding cards specifically made for modern, but you don't really want to make everyone's deck like bad overnight, or make them have to go out and buy like $100 worth of cards and that kind of thing. So I think the power level was perfect. I mean, God, I think they did a really, really good job out of everything. I think the power level was just about perfect, you know. So cards that were good enough for modern, but also a lot of sweet, cool reprints, stuff like Exclude, you know. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Power level perfect. Reprints, sweet. I already went through that. They're amazing. I love it. Cards for lots of formats. Obviously, I mean, I heard people complain about this set. I don't understand why. Like, there's tons and 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 tons of cards for modern out of this set. It's amazing. I mean, if you're not excited to play this set, just send all of your Modern Horizon packs to me. Look, I'll take them off your hands. It's just Commander Masters or whatever you want to call it, right? Just send me your cards. It's fine. Look, it'll be good for both of us. You'll get rid of these stupid things for Commander players or whatever, and then I'll get all these sweet cards. So it's great. Uh, yeah. So Commander, obviously, Modern, of course, lots there. Um, I mean, like Legacy and Vintage, of course, get a lot of cards too. I mean, so sweet. A lot of cards that look fun to play in draft. Really, really fun. I mean, the legends, like we got the legendary bear, which is great. People wanted to play bear tribal forever and a day, which is awesome. Ayula or whatever, Queen of the Forest or Mother Bear or Queen of the Bears. Hell, Mother Bear's a sweet freaking bear too. That's a bear that when it dies you can, or when it's in your graveyard, you pay 5, 2 green and 3 colors, exile it, and get 2 baby bears, which are 2/2s also. That's amazing. Freaking sweet. Um, and then Pishalik Mons, like one of the first legendary characters that's ever introduced in Alpha. Is awesome. This card's like a legendary. It's like if you've ever wanted Goblin Sharpshooter to be your fucking commander, now you got it. You got a Goblin Sharpshooter basically as your commander. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Not better than Sharpshooter for the most part, but like is pretty sweet. I kind of want to play it in like in Modern or something, or maybe even in Legacy in addition to Sharpshooter. I don't know, but it's so cool. Lots of sacking, and you sack stuff to make dudes, and stuff dies, and you ping things. Pashalik Mons is sweet. Has flavor text that refers to Mons Goblin Raiders. I love it. It's such a cool card. It's got the Sisei. That thing is sweet. It's like 5 color legendary matters, and you could tutor for legendary cards and put them into play, and then gets buffed by all the legends in play. Like, oh my god, that's amazing. That's freaking sweet. Really excited for that. Like I said, draft looks sweet. Lots of different kinds of things you can do, which is awesome. I feel like those are the kind of formats I do a lot better in, because like these sort of modern Masters style sets, Eternal Masters, whatever, just because I played with a lot of these cards before. Increased complexity doesn't bother me. It feels like I could really play like use a lot of skills rather that I've been making since I've been playing Magic. Hone those and use those in this draft format a lot more than say like just a regular draft format. Like I said, and bears, bears. I mean, it's like there's fur on the outside and darkness beneath. It's amazing. Just bears. Look at these bears. You have a bear seismic assault, except it's a bear assault. That's amazing. Discard it and make bears, which could be better. I mean, obviously, you don't have to stretch your mana base to play seismic assault. You just play bears. I mean, bears. I mean, really, and everything. Look, the full art snowlands, the 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 art cards, which kind of look cool. Foil tokens are like in every fourth pack or something. I mean, all the stuff looks cool. It's a little expensive, but there's so much value in this. I mean, it's so freaking sweet. It's sweet, man. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's basically sweet.